Hey guys, so popping on here, you probably notice I'm in a little bit different setup, and I forgot to plug y'all in so that I don't lose battery. Okay, we're in. Alright, so a little bit different setup as I've rearranged and am getting ready to do a lot more sewing. So I have just kind of a quick makeshift spot for us, so it will be a little bit of juggling, which I do anyway, but that's what's happening. So I'm gonna get some gloves on because I want to get this resin mixed, and here is the fancy thing that we are going to use this time. I am bringing my stir into the picture because I'm done mixing. I actually can plug this in to an outlet into the wall, so I don't have to worry about causing a fire with it plugged in, you know, to a power strip. So that's one super exciting thing with this move. Rearranging. It has a special stir stick and everything. It takes a big cup, and then it has a special stir stick that came with it. My stir stick is somewhat dirty, so I'm going to take just a little bit of tape on it and get that cleaned up. I haven't used the stir stick, so I don't know why it's dirty, but you know, it is. And I should have done this before I put gloves on, but that's okay. And I'm just going to rub some packing tape and go all the way down it, and it pulled whatever was stuck to there right on up and loosened everything. And then I'm going to do the same. The tape kind of went in on itself, so we'll just pull another strip out. Get the sides because I don't want any issues. Perfect. I'll deal with that hot mess later. Alright, got a couple cups because, you know, we like to do the small cups to then pour into the big cup. And I'm in a little bit tight area, not gonna lie. And this cart is flipped the wrong way. Next one. For our next one, I really did get super prepared for this because I have like all of my colorants over here and everything. This isn't this cart's really flipped around because I am in a smaller space, and it will be complicated to run around the space to get everything I need. So I got all of our colorants over here, got my molds, got all that together. But the resin cart was flipped opposite way. I didn't pay attention. So for this step, it doesn't matter which one I pour first. I am using Artist Resin, the Counterculture DIY, which this mat comes from them, and it's phenomenal. I'm going to do 80 of each. We will see where we get with 80 of each. It's kind of one of those things. I'm not going to pour that just yet. I'm going to let that set for a second. We'll see. I have my other Counterculture DIY mat over here on my other table, so that as I'm shimmying around, I can move it as needed and not have to worry about resin dripping on my table. That's also nice and clean. Ready for some. Whew. Okay, well, I did about 85 of each, ironically. That's kind of funny. I was like, whoa, A's really high, but so's B. So, that worked. Alright. Oh, there's hairs on this nail, though. Looks like it got static. Okay. I'm still going to do B in first, even though we're going to use the mixer. And that's just so that, since this is the first time using the mixer, we'll kind of see. And I'll probably do like just a smidge of hand mixing just to make sure that it did get everything mixed properly. But hopefully I don't have to kill our wrist and do so much mixing. And then A. Is that beautiful? I'm so excited to use this mixer. Also, there's lots of changes happening in this craft space. Maybe not next video, but the next video I'm gonna be even more set up. I'm getting a standing desk because I tend to stand when I'm doing these tutorials. Tonight though, this little table I'm on, this like extension part of this table that I'm on, is so low I am sitting in a chair. But I'm going to get one of them tables that adjusts, desks that adjusts, and it fits perfectly where I normally record. And so I think it will be great to be able to bring it a little bit more to my height and I not have to bend over on my poor back. Okay, so this little mixer, it's not really little, and that one of the reasons why I like to stand, and y'all are gonna bounce a little bit because I enjoy being able to see what I'm giving y'all on recording and everything, but I can't do that when I'm sitting. I'm like 99% certain this is the star stick for this, but I did move some things around. It feels very wide. Watch it not be the star stick that goes here. I know it has to be this long, which is why I was like, oh yeah, this is it. This is one thing I did not check before getting situated. Let's look here. Let's take a peek for a second. I might have to shimmy y'all. That's definitely not the cup. I swear this is it, but maybe it's not. Well, y'all, we might be in a conundrum. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time because I don't want to lose our resin. And I can't imagine it's that more skinny of a stick. Maybe I just had that other one screwed in too much. Have you ever tried to screw a screw backwards while wearing gloves? This is clearly not working because I do not want to drop that screw into our resin. Okay, there we go. Okay. Whew. 8 minutes just to get that situated, but we're good now. Alrighty. So this just has a button, and it's supposed to turn and get it all like mixed up. So I'm gonna move this off camera while it's spinning. I just have a little table over here that I'm gonna slide it off to and let that spin. It was about 8 minutes, and then we'll come in. Now this you'll recognize. This is our little level table, and this has some molds in it that we're gonna hopefully play with tonight. I'm gonna start with these two. This is gonna be our kind of dump mold after everything is said and done. So that's what I'm kind of going for here. This hot mess of tape, but you can see very dirty. So I want to get us some packing tape, and I took my gloves off so that I can do this. Well, I lost the end of the packing tape because I don't have it on a thing. And I normally try to put a corner so that I can find it and pull it easily. So I'm just going to use this packing tape, clean up any little debris. This mold's never been used, but it's been sitting in a drawer, so just get the debris off of it. And then these two have been used before, so they definitely got stuff in them. Plus they've been sitting in the drawer. But I can see some glitter remnants in these little geode crevices. And the colors we're going to use today, we're going to do Teal Twinkle Mica Powder, which is a green, tealy green. And then we are going to combine that with some green alcohol inks and our casting craft. I want to start with putting my alcohol ink in first. Well, not first. We'll put our clear in, but we're going to do our design with the alcohol ink first, and then put in the mica. So that was kind of what I want to do. Alright, those are pretty well cleaned. If you can see, there are letters on this. This is on the outside. It's the maker's marking of that mold. I'm not worried about that. It's not going to come through. So that part we're not concerned about. But if you're seeing that and going, what is that? Is she imprinting her piece that we're doing? Nope. Nope, nope. We are not. Alright, so I have you guys pretty well. I tested this earlier. It's pretty level. So we're going to cruise with it. And sit back down. I'm going to just turn this off and bring it over into your viewing area so that we can show it off. Oh, it's like stuck. Okay, there we go. It was stuck in the base there. So, the stir stick is like massive. It definitely needs mixed longer than 3 minutes if we're going to use that, I think. Because I am seeing definitely some milky waves. So it definitely has not gotten the mix that I would normally do. But look at how few bubbles there are. So that's looking good. I'm going to go ahead and put this back in for just a little bit longer. Maybe like a couple minutes just to finish this up. And then we'll, like I said, do a final swoop of it too. Sorry if I bumped y'all. Again, I don't have y'all set perfectly at the moment just because of how I'm set up in this space. But I'm excited because we are getting to where, at least for this house, I will have things where we need it to be for our crafting times, our crafting dates. And then I'm going to shake y'all because I'm shaking the casting craft. It really needs shook up. So I'm shaking it. And I chose this cobalt green, but it's got a shimmer in it. And I'm just going to do one alcohol ink probably. I'm going to mix a few colors to get the green that I want. And then, so you can see where it settles down in here. So the key is just really shaking them, getting a lot of that settlement remixed in. That's probably some of the shimmer part, so I'm not overly stressed about that little bit because I got most of it shook in there. So this one, look, see how much is settled? That's what we want to get back in. Sorry, y'all are shaking. Fast forward if you don't want to be shaking because I know that's annoying. This one definitely has settled too. Oh, this is mint shimmer. It's a pretty mint shimmer. And then to give us some base color, we're going to do this green. So those are Brea alcohol. This is some brand off of Amazon. So, you know how it is. You order something and it's, sometimes you just get like a random brand. That's what that is. Okay. Wow, the silicone cup, like, it almost feels magnetized, which is not possible. But that's what it feels like when I'm pulling this out of that spinner. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like magnetized in. But it's not. It's just, it's suctioned in is what it is. Okay, we're looking much better. But I am going to go ahead and do a few, you know, rounds that I normally would do just to keep this fully mixed. That obviously helped significantly, and I don't see as many bubbles, which is also good. So those are positives for sure. And I bet you I forgot to plug. I told myself, don't forget to plug in your heating gun, but I'm almost positive I did. So I'm going to set this over to the side. This guy, he's going to need some pretty extensive cleaning for us when we get to that part. And actually my gloves have some resin on them, so I'm just going to go ahead and get some rubbing alcohol onto a paper towel, wipe my gloves off. That way I can plug in the heat gun. I told myself before I started, I was like, you gotta make sure to plug your heat gun in. What always happens when we tell ourselves don't forget something, or don't forget that you put it here. Yep. That's what happened. I forgot. Alright. Heat gun plugged in. I put it on low. I turn it away before I actually go into my resin, because I'm wanting to make sure that if there's any dust in it, it's not going to blow right into my resin. I store my heat gun hanging off of this piece, so obviously dust is going to end up probably in it. Maybe not the best way to store it. You know, that's what it is. So, alright, so I want to get a thin layer into the base of these. And I want that layer to be all the way to our edges and all the way in our center. Those who have watched know that resin is going to come to our center naturally. So with these, I'm trying something a little bit different than I normally do. And I'm pouring from the outside in to see if I can get a better coat initially. And yes, we have quite a few bubbles from when I stirred that resin. We're going to get them out. You know, if you're like coating a pan with butter and cooking, that's kind of what that feels like. I plop it like this a couple times. It's pushing those bubbles up. We're going to hit it with some heat too. I might even spray it with a spritz of rubbing alcohol just to get some of these micros out of there. Keeping, of course, our molds as level as possible when we're doing that, because you don't want to end up with resin everywhere. Now, key with the heat is to keep moving. You do want to go, you can go slow or you can go fast, whatever is easiest for you. But you do want to keep your heat gun constantly moving, whether it's just as fast back and forth or like a slow moving around the resin. You don't want to stay in one spot too long, because you will heat that resin up. One, it will start curing faster, and two, you could potentially set the chemicals on fire, and you don't want to do that. But it does. So a lot of these bubbles have popped just with me moving the resin and so forth. So that's good news. We've got a few pesky ones trying to hang in. I maybe didn't get this mold fully clean because I see little particles, but that's okay. The colorant's gonna hide it. And my pesky bubbles are in our corners, or our edges, so I'm going to take a silicone brush. This is actually a nail art silicone brush for like doing your gel nails or nail art. And I'm just going to take it all the way around the entire edge, hopefully just dispersing those bubbles that are at the edges and causing them to essentially rise up. Need them to rise to the top. These molds, in particular, these Geode Molds, like to collect bubbles in their little crevices. So that's the way to kind of prevent that, is to take a tool and go around the edges. Do not take a sharp tool. Show you all something. So I have these silicone brushes. The silicone side is fine. This side not so much because you could damage your mold. So you don't want to use that side. Then I'm going to do a little bit more heat. And go around our edges. There we go. And then in the middle, where some of those bubbles might have dispersed. And then because these are these pesky geode molds, geode molds, say that 10 times fast, there's a big bubble right in there. And it's not coming to the surface. Because these are these geode molds, what I'm going to suggest, I think it's a play on the silicone. Looks like a big bubble, but there's not one there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spritz these with just a teeny spritz of rubbing alcohol if I have my spray bottle here. And if I don't, then we won't. And it may be a we won't, because I'm not seeing. This is so weird. That's weird. Yeah, it's be weird. I usually keep a mini little spray bottle of rubbing alcohol in my workspace, and it is nowhere to be found in all the obvious places that you would stick that when you're moving things around, like places where it should be. So it makes me wonder if I didn't come across it when I was moving stuff around, or I did and I put it in the most random spot because it's not obvious. So anyway, if you have a little bit of rubbing alcohol in a spritzer bottle, you can just shoot, shoot, and that will also pop those pesky bubbles. We're just going to roll with it. So we are going to at least let that set for about 4 to 5 minutes. So we have time to mix up our colors. So we are going to have a mica powder, an rubbing alcohol, or not rubbing alcohol, an alcohol ink, and a casting craft. So we're going to have 3 colorants essentially that are going to go in here. So what I like to do, and there's a big pool of bubbles right on top of this resin, so I'm just going to pop some of those before we pour it. And of course I'm on the bubble side of this mat, so that's going to make this a smidge interesting. But I'm going to try to get as even as sort of possible. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be somewhat even. And if I don't pour all my clear in, I'm going to try to leave just a smidge of clear in case we have enough to do this dump one, that then I can pour that into it, because I like doing that. I'm going to use these silicone sticks I actually found when I was cleaning. You lose some things, you find some things, but I found where I'd ordered them when they were on clearance with Counterculture DIY. So I've got a couple of new ones here, brand spanking new white. This one's been used before, doesn't matter. ultimately it's fine. Alright, so this is the teal mica. And it's very powdery. And the biggest thing with that is you want to pour your resin first and then put your mica powder in, and then mix slowly so that you don't poof powder up. And then also make sure that you get all the dry part of the mica mixed with the wet part of the resin. Otherwise you will get weird stringy colorant differences, which is, I mean that's the look you're going for, then that's the look you're going for. So that's really pretty. I'm trying to see if I'm going to need a little more. I think I want a little bit more in this. So I'm just going to use another one so that I don't get resin in there. And I'll use this to mix the mica, or not the mica, the alcohol ink, because it's not going to do anything to it. Yeah, I wanted that little bit more to give us a little bit more of a deep green here. Not worried about the bubbles, because guess what? They're all coming to the surface as I'm mixing. When you're mixing the colorant in, usually the air does try to get to the top pretty quickly. I'm going to set that over on a flatter surface so it's out of your guys' viewing range, but I still do have it near here. Alright, so these settled slightly while we were, getting here. That decided to completely just shoot out. So that was fun. Luckily, didn't land in here, which is good. Now, I'm not going to put much of the shimmers. I put more of the regular color, and the shimmer definitely settled on the mint. Ooh, I love shimmer things. And alcohol inks are, the way it's reacting, you can see it kind of like bubbling, always reacts so interesting with resin. So play around with it so that you see how they react. Shimmer ones really bubble more than the just regular ones. Now, you want to really mix, because again, even though it's, now we have a wet colorant and the wet of the resin, you want to get a good mix, because otherwise you will have strings of colorant and then strings of the resin. So that's why I lift up, because then I can really see if we're mixed or if we're still really stringy. When you're looking in here, it's hard to tell. That's pretty. Then we're going to do some casting craft. And we're at 4 minutes right now, which is perfect. So as soon as we get our casting craft mixed in, I'm going to probably do 7 drops. Oh, that bottle is not the most user-friendly for one's hands. Again, you're doing a more liquidy or moist, wet colorant into a wet of the resin. Difference is casting craft is a little more pasty. So again, just making sure that it fully mixes and we're not having like really white string or a really clear stringy spot. Okay, these are looking good. I'm going to just hit with just a smidge of heat just to give us a little pop them bubbles. Nothing crazy. I don't want this resin to get too hot because it will start dispersing on us and it gets very, what do I want to say? It will get very fluid, and we don't want it fluid. So this is one that we don't want it to be fluid because we want it to have that, what do I want to say? I want it to be where it's holding a little bit more so that it just doesn't all run together when we add our colorants. That's why you put the clear in and let it set. Now, one other little thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a smidge of glitter into each of these in the center. And when I say smidge, I'm really going to try to just put a tiny, tiny bit. Okay, that one went a little bit more crazy. And then I'm going to just kind of do a little mix of that into the center so that the glitter is getting mixed in to the resin, and trying to kind of keep it in the center. It's not going to be perfect, but nor is nature. So, and see, I was able to kind of pull these back into the center, which is cool. It's going to come out a little bit, and that's fine. I'm not overly worried about that. I just about wiped that into the container, which would have been comical. Not really. Okay, and this glitter is World Tour. It's medium. It's actually called Precious Metals, and it's a medium kind of glitter, and it's by Counterculture. If y'all don't know by now, I love my Counterculture stuff. Okay, so we're looking good. I think it's time to get us some pour on. So, oh no, we want, I almost did it again. I almost did the mica first. I want to do, I really like when it gets more of the flower bloom. So I'm going to do petals. Even though we're in a geode mold, I'm wanting to do some petals. Again, you don't have to be, I should move that casting craft. You don't have to be perfect with your petals. Oh, we got a little bit crazy with our color on the edge. That's okay. Let me just move this casting craft. I probably should have grabbed a piping bag for that casting craft so that I could be, when you're just pouring from the cup like this, you're not as precise. Looking for my words today, y'all. Looking for my words. Look at that. I love that. And we do have some left over, so that's exciting. I'm going to do this one first. And it doesn't have to like follow exactly. Oops. That's a little thicker. I didn't want to come out. But kind of am following the path that I did with the other. Just maybe a smidge on the inside of those petals is kind of what I'm shooting for. Granted, may not be exactly what happens. And then I'm just kind of giving us an edge of color. Ooh, I like these two colors together. They're really pretty. And I think when the white comes into play, it's going to be really pretty. This one, I'm not really following the previous petals very well. And this one's a little bit more chaotic. And that's okay. Alright. Just looking to see if I had a piping bag nearby, but I don't think I do. So we're just going to roll with it. You know? Can't come prepared enough, apparently. I told you, I was like, oh, I'm so much more prepared. I got all my colorants out. Like, okay, Rebecca. You didn't really come prepared for what you were doing, though. And it was coming out so fast there in the beginning, as you saw, but it's getting really thick because it's warming up. So I'm just trying to get some white in there, and then we're gonna draw it and really get us blooming. This one I'm gonna do just a smidge different, just because of how the flow is. That one where I'd already done it that way, I didn't want to stop in the middle. But this one I'm gonna do more heavily white in the center and do some just pretty stringy petals. I'm trying to kind of offset them. Oh my god, one more time. There we go. There we go. Okay, cool. So we're gonna let those set just a smidge. And while they're setting, before we manipulate them, I'm gonna scoot this one up here so that we can get this other mold on here. We're gonna pour our extras into here. Now, if you recall, I left us with some clear, and the reason for that is I want to put it in here, but I just remembered something that I want to do, and my hands are a mess. Sometimes I get like scattered and I'm like, oh, where am I? What am I? What's happening? All right. Okay. So I want there to be some dimension in the tops of this, which will be really cute. So I have some of this beautiful glass, crushed glass. I'm gonna have to buy more. It's from Hobby Lobby. It says this cute little jar that I got that holds it. And then this one is from Amazon. It's also just a crushed glass, but it's a bronze, right? Doesn't say the color. Oh, it just says deep brown. Okay. I want to put some of that in. I don't know. I might want to add a little more green. I might have poured a little too much of that. But for these, I do want to mix it with a little bit of clear before I just pour it in, because I want them to get coated so there's not so many bubbles happening. So that's why I put them in this cup. And then I'm going to put just enough, hopefully, to coat it. And we're going to have to work fast because, oh, yeah, we have way more in here than I thought we did. Well, that just turned into a hot glob. It's gonna work, y'all. It's gonna come together. I just know it. We're gonna be fine. Maybe not, but I probably didn't need that additional bit of teal. Okay? Yeah. Hindsight, you know? Hindsight, you go, well, that didn't work out how I intended in my head. How it did in my head, it did not come together in the real world of crafting. That is a hot glob of mess. Oh, Lordy. But this is so pretty, I don't want to waste it, so we're just gonna kind of keep rolling with this hot mess that I've created. Did anybody see that coming like me? Or unlike me? Because I didn't see that mess coming like that. Okay. Yep. Sure enough. That's a hot, hot mess. I'm hoping. Oh, those are blooming up so beautifully. When we manipulate it here in a minute, oh, it's gonna be gorgeous. So what I wanted was this to be a little bit more fluid, not so chunky, but we're working with it. I am a little bit worried because it is so chunky that I'm hoping it's not going to damage the mold too much. Good thing is I have another one of these molds, so if I ruin this one, I guess we consider I have a backup, right? That's what we're going to go with. This is going to be fun cleanup tonight. Whew. And I think we got to get our manipulation done, but it's kind of one of those, like, do I manipulate that or get this in so that I don't lose all this resin? Kind of one of those. I don't know. Okay, that's working out all right. Not the most ideal, but it's working out all right. Like, it's better than I thought it was when I first dumped it out. So, that's good. I do like the ratio of gold to green, or the brown to green that I've created. Looks pretty good. Alrighty. So let's pour in this green. And basically my goal is just to get this in as quickly as possible. On dump molds like this, where we're just dumping the extra resin in, I don't usually do a lot to it. I just get the resin in. Typically, the goal is to get the resin in so that it's not wasted. So that is the alcohol ink, and then we got our mica. The nice thing is, see, like once we pour the mica, it's pushing the rubbing alcohol down into the sides. It's gonna just kind of keep doing that pushing of the resin, and the mica is gonna sink because it's heavier than the alcohol inks. Alright. Alright, alright, alright. And then we have white, which is just going to get poured in as well. I'm not going to sit there stressing over it. Just going to get it in. Let it do its thing. Oh, we're going to be close on this mold, which is awesome. It's not going to take much to finish it off. So whatever color we finish off the backs of these others, I think will be perfect. Alright, super stringy, which tells me our resin is definitely done being kind of worked with. Other than we are going to manipulate these coasters a smidge. Hopefully I haven't waited too long. So I'm just going to come to the edge and go to the center, and then I'm going to wipe my tool off, and I'm basically creating 5 petals. Doesn't have to be super duper symmetric, just creating those lines and bringing it all the way in. And then I like to do a little swirl, and then I like to bring wool into the middle of our petals, which I'm trying to see where this one kind of is, to bring us out. This one's a little bit harder to see our lines, but it's blooming up beautifully, which I love. So we'll really get some dimension going here because of the way that's blooming, which is great. Now, I always wipe my tool off. It's how I learned when I watched videos. I think it just gives you a cleaner piece, cleaner look. But you can also experiment and do what works best for you. That I did not come through the layers. The idea is you want to come down through the layers and drag those layers of colorant through one another. And we'll do a little swirl here. It's definitely getting stirring-y. We caught it at the right time. Because once you do this, you don't want a ton of movement in your flowers or your pattern, but you still want it to have some movement because you want it to continue doing that bloom, but you want to also get your lines to basically stay. Now, I do have a big drip that I tried to get off, so I'm going to pivot that to where it's not hanging off the edge, and I see some pretty significant bubbles. So we are going to hit these with a little bit of heat, especially this one. It's going to have lots of bubbles probably under this lip here. So I am trying to just make sure that I hit the heat there. And I'm going to also put that to the side for just a sec. Oh, that's an awful noise. But I'm just hitting the sides so that we make sure that we push any bubbles up. And I'll probably watch this, like we'll clean up our tools and then I'll probably peek at this piece and just make sure no more bubbles have popped up. These look pretty good. You don't want to hit them with too much heat. You will start moving. You might be able to see the blooms moving a little bit when you do that. Just know, sometimes you want that movement effect though. Like, if it hasn't started blooming and getting that great blooming effect, maybe you need to hit it with a little bit of heat and encourage it. Can't wait too long. We're at about the end of it, but if you wait too long, there is, I think, a massive bubble or just a glass. And I'm just kind of doing this too. It's pushing the casting path in a little more, just to give it a little bit more look. Push in there. And I'm going to just hit it with like a drop. Ooh, look how pretty that is. I did 3 drops. And I was gonna maybe pull it out with the, like, kind of draw it out more, but it's opening itself up enough. I think I'll just let it kind of do its thing right now. Let it just fizzle and see what it does. Because really the white's probably gonna get covered. You're not gonna really see this portion anyway. So it might give us a cool effect on the other side, it might not. It's more just experimenting and letting that experiment be there was my thinking. It's not an exact little thing. Okay, so with that said, I am going to do, because I am experimenting and I can, I'm not going very deep. I'm just going mainly in this white little bit. And I'm just kind of pulling that from the center. Now, you'll notice that I'm not wiping this tool off. Again, we're not going to see this back whatsoever from this angle. So this is just more a fun thing of like, hey, look at the design we made. And then gives us ideas for future projects that we might want to do something different. We can go, oh yeah, remember when we played around with that and that had a cool effect, and I want to make a star, or I want to make a certain look, and so forth. So, anywho, so what I'm going to do, so that you guys can see the cleanup of this, I'm going to clean my gloves first. My second least favorite part, clean up. Gotta get everything cleaned up. So I'm gonna basically move our pieces. I was gonna stack my silicone cups and then I decided against that. I was like, you know what? I don't want to stack those because then that's gonna make my cleanup even worse. And I don't want to do that. When I was putting all my stuff over here to the side in this nice cleared area, I failed to think about that, hey, I should keep that area kind of clear so that I can move the finished product over here. Now I am going to use that wonderful netting that I have. It's on one of these cards. Don't mind me, I'm going all kinds of crazy. Make sure that I don't end up in the resin. Can't get it off the hook. But I won't be able to put it on over here because of the small limited space, but I have one of these nets. You've seen it if you've watched other videos. That is for food preparation if you're going to be doing a barbecue or something. And it pops open. I got my glove stuck to like this, and I will cover this so that dust particles and bugs and things. Not that I have bugs in my house, but you know, if you ever have pesky gnats. So very carefully. We're not going far. I'm literally going to the left of me, within arm's reach. Alright. The little glass stones are under it. There we go. Cute. I'm excited to get those done and unmolded because those are going to be fun to see. Now, my least favorite thing, y'all, is cleaning my tools. But we're going to make this because I'm really working on self-growth and things like that. So we are going to make this. It's going to be a brand new segment. When we're cleaning, because I've gone through the cleaning process so many times, if you want to know what I'm actually doing, I highly suggest watch one of the other videos. Going forward, I might give you just a quick overview of what I'm doing, but for the most part, what I want to do on this part to make this more enjoyable, more fun, is to continue on sharing a little bit about myself, checking in with everybody. You can leave comments, tell me how things are going, see if you're feeling the same way maybe I am if I shared that week how things are. Make this more of an open dialogue. Granted, you know, I feel like you guys are all my best friends because you have the same desire to craft and be in the space and watch the videos, and I'm so thankful for that and appreciate all my followers that follow me. I know I don't engage a ton, but definitely if you leave me a comment, I will respond. Maybe a few days, maybe a week, but I will respond, I promise, okay? Sometimes I'm really good about checking my YouTube, and sometimes I'm not so great about it. So that's just how it is. Life in my world. So I am using that, I was going to say tissue, that paper towel that already had been used, and I'm just trying to get as much of that resin off as I can. But anyhow, enough about the cleanup process. Let's dive into our new segment. So I did plan for this. This is just an on the whim kind of thing. So for me, I'm typically recording on a Wednesday. So I'm halfway through the 9-to-5 job that pays the bills kind of thing. And looking forward to the weekend. When this comes out, it'll be way past Labor Day. But Labor Day is coming up. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I've been cleaning and organizing. like crazy in my space and trying to get things a little bit more situated to accommodate all my loves of crafting. I plan to continue our weekly Wednesday visits. However, I am going to be adding in some sewing, which I've mentioned, which is exciting. I am so looking forward to getting back into my sewing process. I feel like it's been a really long time since I have done that, and it's such a good reason that I get to do that. So I'm excited for that. Let's see what else. So I mentioned I am working on self-reflection, just overall self-care. This, truthfully though, I think I've said it before, this crafting for me is my self-care. This is something I do for myself, and one of the a big reason that I decided to start doing YouTube is because it, I don't want to say forces me, but it does. It like forces me to get in the craft space and not make an excuse of like, sorry I bumped y'all, to do chores or something else. And you know, when I'm in here sometimes, if I'm not doing it for a purpose like YouTube, yes, it's a purpose for self-care, but let's be real. Who of us always prioritizes self-care? If you're a mom, if you're a wife, if you work full-time, if you're a child, not like a young child, but like if you have parents, which obviously everybody has parents, but if your parents are still with us on this earth, there's always somebody, in a sense, either demanding or needing our attention. And we tend to, at least I do, and I know a lot of people do, tend to forget to care for ourselves. So by me doing YouTube, it really made it to where, you know what, and I was always crafting kind of on Wednesdays. My husband and I had come up with that, like, that would be my day, and he could help with the kids and so forth. They're pretty self-sufficient, but you know, like, the kids then know that this is what mom's doing and don't bug her, don't interrupt her, kind of thing. Well, that was great. They still kind of interrupt, you know. Well, mom's just in the craft space, I can go chit chat with her, and I'd be like in the middle of trying to pour resin, and I'm like, or I would get interrupted. And so this just really helped make it be, you know, I don't like the word forced, but I can't, I'm struggling with words tonight, and that's the only thing I can think of, is it's like it gave me the space to be here and be in my craft space and do the things that really do fill my cup. And they always say you can't pour from an empty cup, and it's true. But if you're anything like me, which if you're here, you probably are very much like me, if you've stuck out this long, you are, that we tend to just leave ourselves to the last. And like, yeah, we know that self-care is important, but do we do it? No, because dishes need to be done, laundry needs to be handled, you know, the dog just pooped on the floor, the cat threw up, you know, all those things that are happening. The kids need fed, grocery store needs to be handled, you know, with parents, if you have aging parents, you're dealing with that. If you have parents who have medical issues or medical things, you may be dealing with that. There's just always kind of stressors. Work, I always say, you know, work can be another stressor, and it may not be a space that you can just unwind. And that's, for me, the craft space. So thank you all for creating this for me to be here on Wednesdays, though I post on Sundays. That's just kind of the schedule that I'm on that works for me, because I'm not gonna lie, you know, you think, oh, you just record a video and you don't do editing, you know, because I'm big about not editing. I used to do some editing in the beginning, and I'm really big about not doing a lot of editing. I don't rewatch these unless I have random plastic fall into my, you know, bowl. Hint, hint, the last series. If you know, you know. But basically, you know, it's like, sorry, this has a lot of like little glass pieces, so I'm just trying to get all those off of this one. But so I try not to do a lot of editing, but it still is a lot of work to make sure that I have all the links in there. I probably miss some sometimes, creating the description, making sure it uploads. I record on my phone. If anybody has some technology, like, I'm not technology literate. I struggle with it. I'm enough to be dangerous and get by. So I record on my phone, and then I upload from my phone to YouTube typically, and then from there I create those descriptions, which if anybody has ever tried to type something really long on your cell phone, it's awful. So I typically then have a laptop that I can do that on, though the laptop is slow as molasses. But I do it, and I get it. So what works is for me to do this recording on Wednesday, and then it gives me some days to actually get it uploaded. Because truthfully, uploading these videos, as long as they are sometimes, can take hours. Which is crazy. I know. You would think, oh, it's just like, wham bam, we're done. Nope, not really. So, you know, but I do it, and it truly does give me the space to be here. So thank y'all for that. And it encourages me, every subscriber I get, it encourages me to keep doing what I've been doing and to keep moving forward and producing videos for y'all. So I do plan to keep that up. That was a long story. I tend to ramble sometimes. But look, we got through cleaning of all that, and it was kind of a hot mess. I felt like I missed some pieces, but I really didn't, because our cups, I stacked them. They're just going to harden and get thrown in the garbage that way. Of course, that got stuff on my glove. But, yeah, we were able to get through all that, which made that way more enjoyable, see? So, I like this segment. Now I might actually enjoy cleaning my things, because we'll catch up, you know? But that's a little bit about why and how I started. It feels, that is my self-care. One of my big self-cares. It's not my only thing. I do other things, you know, but this is a big one. I do puzzles. I'm on like my 33rd puzzle of the year. My goal was 12. I kind of overachieve on things, just so y'all know. That's just who I am. That's who I be. Also, I don't know if I've shared this, and I'm not going to go back and rewatch my videos. One, because who likes to hear their own voice? Two, who has the time? I don't. But basically, I would try to come up with a third reason, but I don't know what the third reason is right now, because I'm rambling. But I recently was diagnosed with ADHD. Something about turning 40 just flipped a trigger. I think I've always probably had it, but was recently diagnosed with it. I'm not medicating. I've never have for it in my life, other than I'm on an antidepressant, which technically is partially medicating for it. So yeah. So with that diagnosis, I'm doing a lot of reading, and one of those things is self-care and making sure that we, you know, listen to ourselves. And we tend to be perfectionists or want to overdo things, and we tend to then worry about everything too. So yeah, there's a lot about me. Y'all just got a 30-second, no, 30-minute reality of who I am behind the scenes. So anyway, I probably look like a hot mess, and there is a hot mess behind me, but I'm gonna do something and say hi. Hope everybody is doing great. I know now I'm sideways. See, technology. not my best friend whatsoever. And I don't love seeing myself on camera, so if my eyes are shifting or I look funny, just ignore it, okay? It's just who I am. This is me, who I am, at a full. Sorry, blinding you with the light, but I also can't get you the right angle. So, anyway, hope everybody has a great week, and I will see you guys back again next week. Bye!